So today I'm really excited because the team associated MT8 finally arrived. This thing's been a long time coming. It was supposed to be here a few months ago, but they got delayed and it's finally here. This looks like an awesome truck and it comes in at a really good price. So if this thing is a good basher and it's durable, it's really going to give Arrma and Traxxas a run for their money. I picked this truck up at Tiny Adventures RC. They're a great place to buy from, so if you're interested, I'm going to leave a link in the description to their website. Today we're going to be taking this thing apart. I'm going to show you what's inside, show you what it has for electronics, compare it to some other vehicles, and then in the next video we're going to take it out, take it for a rip, see how fast it'll go, see if it's durable, see how well it bashes. Before we take the lid off this thing and get deeper, I want to show you what comes with the truck, so let's take a look at that now. Alright, so with the truck you get the standard team associated XP120 remote. This thing has servo reversing and trims and steering as well as dual rate for both. It's a fine remote. It has a nice little foam wheel and it works just fine. There's nothing fancy about it, but it gets the job done. So in the bag of goodies, you get an ESC guide, troubleshooting and programming. You get a 17mm wrench, a few hex wrenches, bind plug, full ESC owner's manual, remote owner's manual, a certificate of conformity that I don't think applies to the United States, and the rival MT8 manual. Now, Team Associated is always really good with their manuals. They've always got a lot of nice pictures in here showing you all the parts, how to set everything up, basically how the whole thing would go together. So this is a really nice reference to have. Make sure you keep this handy. So that's what you get with the truck. Now let's see what you get in the truck. All right, first things first, let's take a look at this body now. This is a standard monster truck 1/8 scale body. It is reasonably thick. It's got a reinforcement piece going through it, tying into the back, tying into the rear. It's got a nice little plastic grill here. It feels good. I mean, this is actually thicker material than I'm used to seeing on an RTR body, so I think this is going to hold up pretty well. Now, personally, I'm going to be reinforcing this body before I ever run it. I would suggest you reinforce all of your bodies before you ever run them as well. But if you don't, I think this is going to hold up significantly better than a lot of RTR bodies out there. Taking this off, we get our first look at the chassis. Now this looks like a pretty nice setup. You've got your standard dual wishbone suspension front and rear, big thick plastic shock towers. We've got a nice tower to tower brace going from the front to the rear, which ties into the center differential. This does have a center differential in it. We've also got nice beefy aluminum bodied threaded shocks. They have plastic caps. It's pretty neat. They've got these steel shock mounts in the top, but they are encased in plastic, so that should help with flexibility. In the back, we've got a 150 amp Hobbywing ESC. This is the 8BL150. Basic ESC, but a really good one as well. This is coupled with a standard Hobbywing motor. Comes with a Reedy 25 kg servo. This is a Metal Gear servo, but it is only 25 kg, so it remains to be seen how good that's going to be. The receiver box has this little clip on it, so I'm assuming it's not going to be waterproof. No, the receiver box is not waterproof, so if you want to run this thing in water, you're going to want to waterproof your receiver inside. Has a nice big battery tray on it. I got a couple batteries here. This battery tray can be extended, but taking a look at this, I can put my 4S SMC battery in here, and it fits no problem. I can also put my 6S SMC battery. This is a SMC something or another, can't remember. It's a soft pack, that's why I've got it taped up just to protect it. And flipping the truck over, we've got this nice stamped aluminum 5mm thick chassis with a reinforcing rib down the middle. Now, some people don't realize this, but this isn't just for looks. When you stamp out a reinforcement like that in the chassis, it will essentially double the thickness of the chassis in that area. Front and back are not ribbed, but like I said, they are 5mm thick. The only place I'm concerned about the chassis is right here, where it's got holes going through it for the differential to mount, which significantly weakens an already thin area. Maybe it'll be fine, we'll see. I like it's got these little skid plates going all the way down it. Front bumper looks to be pretty strong. It's got the standard for these days kind of loop here that helps with flexibility. This does have front and rear lights built into it, which are pretty cool. Let's go ahead and pull the wheels off. All right, so we got the wheel nuts off. First thing I want to say is these little wheel nut covers are terrible. They are threaded, so they thread into the axles, but they don't give you any tool to get these off. They're mostly smooth on the sides. They don't tell you how they come off, and I broke one getting it off and tore up one of my wheels trying to take these off. You can get them off, but these are not going back on my truck. Tires. These look pretty good. They are 5.9 inches, so they're not quite 6 inches, and certainly not quite the 6.5 inches I would expect to see on a 1/8 scale truck. They're 3.15 inches wide. They have a nice tread on them. Looks like it's going to be a good all-terrain tread, and probably not the best for off-road, but it'll do well on-road and decent off-road as well. Nice thick in the hub in here. The size of this tire leads me to a point I wanted to make. They call this truck 1/8 scale, and it is, but I would say it's a small 1/8 scale. Let's see how it compares to a few other vehicles. Here it is next to my MT410, which is considered a 1/10 scale truck. Here it is next to a Maxx V2, which is also considered a 1/10 scale truck. Here it is next to my HPI Savage X V2, which is a 1/8 scale truck. And then here it is next to my Team Corrali Kronos XTR, which is a 1/8 scale truck. Now, the Team Corrali Kronos is a long 1/8 scale truck, but as you can see from all this, if it's 8 scale, which I would say it is, it's small 8 scale. Okay, let's take a closer look at some of these suspension components. It comes with a kingpin style front suspension, which is fine. Everything appears to be put in double shear, basically meaning that the pin is captured on both sides, which really helps strengthen things up and stops it from bending and breaking. Control arms are not the same front to rear, so you will have to get separate front and rear control arms. You've got nice thick CVD drive shafts all the way around. What I want to do now is I want to go ahead and take one of the differentials out, take the center differential out, and I want to see how easy it is to take those parts out and then how they look compared to something like the Arrma EXB differential, which I happen to have on hand. Differentials are out. Let's take a closer look at those. But first, I want to let you guys know I'm really happy you're here watching this with me. I really enjoy making these videos and I make them for you. So if you're enjoying it, I'd really appreciate if you subscribed, hit that bell to get notified, and give me a like on this video. You're gonna wanna be subscribed because I'm gonna be doing a cash giveaway pretty soon, and that's gonna be pretty fun. Okay, before we look at these, I wanna show you what it took to get them out. First, here's the pile of parts for the rear differential. Not too bad, several screws, a few bits and pieces, kind of what you'd expect. And here's the pile of bits for the center differential. This is mounted up through the top and through the bottom of the chassis, which should give it some added rigidity. One thing I noticed was I had to clip off some of the wire management to take the center differential out. That's kind of annoying, but it's not too bad. All in all, getting these two out was fairly straightforward. The rear differential is kind of what you'd expect to see. It has machined outdrive cups. It has a sintered steel ring gear as well as a sintered steel pinion gear left back on the truck. It does feel like it's got some fluid in it. It feels pretty good. They have pre-shimmed it from the factory. Shim's over here. This was on the ring side, so pushing it closer to the pinion, which is really nice to see. Comparing it to an EXB Arrma differential, which we have right here, you can see that the gear is significantly larger. However, this EXB Arrma gear is also a fully machined gear, so it's going to be inherently stronger. Given that this is bigger, I would imagine that they're probably of equal strength, but it's nice to see that they didn't skimp out on the size of these gears. Now, taking a look at the center differential, there's something interesting here, something I don't think I've seen before. You'll notice it has a steel spur gear, but it appears to be pressed around plastic. It doesn't appear to be attached to this plastic any other way. I'll be really interested to see how this works out. They've got some spacers in the outdrive cups that'll stop the center drive shafts from rattling around. Speaking of these center drive shafts, these things are pretty beefy. Actually, all the shafts on here are beefy, and everything looks to be very well made. Bringing the chassis back in, we can get a closer look at the cap that holds the center differential on. You can see, like I said, it mounts up through the bottom of the chassis as well as through the top. That's really nice. But you can also see that these wires are attached to it, making it kind of a pain to remove, but it's not too bad. One thing I forgot to mention, this does come with a Dean style connector. I don't know why companies are still doing this. People shouldn't be using Dean style connectors on these types of trucks. They're rated for 45 amps. They're underrated. This will be coming off right away. Looking over here at the back of the truck, we can see the pinion gear, again, nice and big. We can also see these CVD drive shafts, which are a good size. I don't know if I mentioned it, but this has CVD drive shafts all the way around, which is a nice feature. All right, guys, well, that's about it for the unboxing of this truck. I'm gonna get it all thrown back together, and then we're gonna take it out, put it on 4S, see how it does for speed and bashing, and then we'll put it on 6S and see how it does with that. I'm pretty excited for this. If this thing can hold up for the price, I think it's going to be a great truck. I'm going to have those videos coming out in the next few days, as well as I have my Traxxas Sledge on pre-order, so it will be coming as well. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss those, and if you have any questions, put them down in the comments. Otherwise, we'll see you next time.